Hey friends, hey family, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Crystal Blue. I do Christian content and I also do what's called the Word of the Day. I also have videos and shorts of me and my family having fun together. So if you like what you see in here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For those of you returning, happy Thursday. We're almost there. So today, the one word that we're going to focus on is faith, or the phrase by faith. I'm going to go over two very common scriptures, famous scriptures that people say all the time. And then we're going to talk about how you can use that and apply that in your own life. So remember, the phrase for today is by faith. So we're reading from the book of Hebrews, chapter 11. We're going to focus on verse 1, and then we're going to focus on verse 6. But in between, we're going to read the in between as well. But I'm going to read first Hebrews 11, chapter 11, verse 1. And when you hear it, you're going to recognize it. Now, faith is the confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. Now we're going to hop down to verse 6. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. So those are two very famous verses that you guys should be familiar with or have heard of at least. Faith. Now I'm going to read 1 through 6. I'm going to read the in between as well. Going back to verse 1. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. By faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. By faith, Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith, he was commended as righteous when God spoke well of his offerings. And by faith, Abel still speaks, even though he is dead. By faith, Enoch was taken from his life so that he did not experience death. He could not be found because God had taken him away. But before he was taken, he was commended as one who pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Faith. You notice the whole phrase, the repetitive by faith, by faith, by faith. In this walk with Christ, we have to have that faith that his will be done. We have to have faith that if we seek him earnestly, he is going to give us the desires of our heart. By faith, we have to step out on that faith. That's the thing we have to have. And it's hard, obviously, because you can't see it. But I said this months ago, probably earlier when I started doing these sessions. I said, just because you've never seen $1 million doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just because you've never held it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It does. Just because we can't see God, we have to believe and know in our hearts that he has created this wonderful, beautiful world and everything that exists in it and on it, including us. And that we believe that God sent his son Jesus to die on the cross for our sins. We have to believe this, because if we don't believe this, without faith, it's impossible to please God. He's like, you got to believe in me first. So by faith, and I love how it has these examples of the people in the Bible, because of their faith, this is how God rewarded them. I want to hop over to verses 23 through 30, and we're going to go and just read straight through. And of course, you'll hear that common phrase by faith. And it's going to give examples of, because of these people had this faith, this is what God rewarded them with. By faith, verse 23. By faith, Moses' parents had him for 3 months after he was born, because they saw he was no ordinary child, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be mistreated along with the people of God, rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as a greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. By faith, he left Egypt, not fearing the king's anger. He persevered because he saw him who is invisible. By faith, he kept the Passover and the application of blood so that the destroyer of the firstborn would not touch the firstborn of Israel. By faith, the people passed through the Red Sea as on dry land, but when the Egyptians tried to do so, they were drowned. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell after the army had marched around them for 7 days. Because all of these people in the Bible had that faith, they believed in the God that we cannot see. But we have this hope that's like an anchor, firm and secure. We have to believe that He is there for us, comforting us and protecting us during our trials, our tribulations, our anguish, anything that we're going through. We have to have that faith. Again, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I think for a lot of people, it's hard to believe in God because they're like, well, how do you know? Have you ever seen Him? My smart comeback, if you will, is not only the quote that I say about $1,000,000, but if you genuinely look at people and listen to people and see how they've changed, like if you see a person before they came to Christ and then after that, you can literally see that change in people. Take notice if you've ever in life known someone before they got saved, how they used to act, and then afterwards, you see how they've grown and matured spiritually. You could say they did that on their own, but it wouldn't be true because they had help. They had His help. And a lot of people nowadays want to say, oh, self-help. I did this. I did that. I read this book. I figured out how to get my life right. It wasn't you, boo-boo. You have to give all the glory and honor to Him because He is the one that did it, not you. So you have to have this faith and this hope and believe and know and trust that He is going to provide and take care of you. So once you step out on that, He will reward you. All these people were rewarded. Enoch, Moses, the walls of Jericho came down. Everything happened because everyone had faith. So by faith, this walk that you have with Christ, by faith is the only way you're going to get through this. Because if you don't have that faith, then it's going to be impossible to get anything else done. Once you have that faith and you have that set in your mind, everything else will literally fall into place. God will take care of the rest because He knows that you believe in Him. All right. So remember that, guys, by faith. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.